Kings versus the Valhalla Valkyries. Let's kick it off. Let's kick off week number 5 in the SPL. The Camelot Kings, Myth, not a team without some unique picks in their own right here as well. Big man Tings in the mid lane if you want to keep comparing apples to apples, and maybe that's an apt way of bringing it up. Discordia has been important here for BMT.
It has been, and it's not a god that you can really feel too confident in banning out, which is why I'm excited to see how the Valkyries elect to address this, right? With the Kings and the Valkyries both having some more out of left field picks, some pocket picks, if you would. We could see picks and bans, or rather just bans, be a little bit more targeted here than we're used to seeing in the standard SPL matchups. But as it stands as of now, Valkyries banning out Ul, and Loki on the other side feels pretty standard. Loki maybe more so targeted, but even then, that god is just good.
Yeah, Ul seems targeted at literally every hunter in the SPL, and maybe even some mid laners if you want to consider throwing Ul over in the mid lane. Loki as well, seen more ban priority, but up against Johnny and how well Johnny can play this pick, that does, Myth, I agree with you, just feel a little bit more targeted by the Camelot Kings here. Cerberus will follow that up. So, as you start to get down to these last couple of bans in that first wave of bans, that's when you have to start considering things for both teams really here, because Ducky, self-admittedly, has mentioned that Odin doesn't necessarily feel great on the enhanced ping if I'm going to keep things in that direction, but Ducky's been able to play the Odin in a couple of his last games played. Some of them have looked good, some of them have looked bad. The Camelot Kings will agree, so no Odin here for Ducky. And the Valkyries will take away the Geb as well. Geb has really started to become a mainstay in those first few bans, and I imagine that doesn't change here this weekend.
I'm surprised to see Valkyries take away the Geb so early, considering it's one of Raffer's signature picks throughout the years. I mean, it is a very storied career on that god in particular, and now the Kings in a position to either ban out some of those new guardians, could be Sylvanas or Khepri, say, look, we're willing to take just one of them. Had they banned Sylvanas or Khepri, it's very likely that the Valkyries would have taken whatever was left and left the Kings down one on the tier list. So instead, it's the Morrigan band, last overall for the Kings, and the Valkyries say, okay, well, if both Guardians are going to stay available, we can shift our attention elsewhere, take the second best of the two, and instead lock in Ardio, which is a great bit of pressure early on for the Valkyries draft.
Do you think that Ardio's in a spot, and maybe this is an important conversation now with Cthulhu on the other side, is Ardio in a spot where you can flex solo or support in your mind, or is it just so far and away better in one of those two roles that you're almost missing out if you send it the other way?
I think that Ardio is much better in solo. I think there's a reason that everybody in the league has taken her there, except for PBM, who's taken her into the support role a couple of times, but she does certainly have that flex potential. You're very capable of performing on this god in the support role, and you're allowed to use her a little bit earlier on. Makes it easier to force these gold free fights very early. The mid fights are going to sway in your favor slightly, but that means your Ardio isn't going to be nearly as tanky around that 18-minute mark as a solo lane Ardio would have been.
Genetics has won his last couple of Sylvanas games that he's played, looking to go 3 for 3 with the Sylvanas lock-in here for the Camelot Kings in game number 1. And so already, the front line feeling staunch for the Camelot Kings. If you are looking purely at what people have been drafting, what the league has been prioritizing, Cthulhu and Sylvanas towards the forefront of that conversation, Ardio has been as well, so that's a big boon to the Valhalla Valkyries here. And Achilles has been interesting, Myth, because we have seen Achilles, but it's been out of support, maybe once or twice, still has seen some pressure over in the solo lane across the last couple of picks. Ratatosker will end up being the lock-in here. And so that maybe gets things interesting here. Between Ardio, Achilles, and Ratatosker, you're looking at support, jungle, and solo, and in no particular order, maybe here for the Valkyries. Well, Ratatosker jungle, I think, is probably the most confident I am in those three, and then Ardio and Achilles will flex one way or the other.
I think that the Valkyries may have shown their hand a little bit with that hover pick, hovering on the Cabrakan before transitioning to this Ratatasker. Kind of makes me think this Achilles could be headed for the jungle, similar to what we've seen from players in matches of past. But I think you're right in that if I were to allocate the roles here, I might even toss Ardio in a solo, Achilles support, Ratatasker jungle, but I think the takeaway from the conversation that we've been having here is this Valkyries draft is very hard to lock down. Any singular one of these picks could go into any of those roles, and it wouldn't raise too many eyebrows, whereas on the other end, the Kings are not hiding their hand. They're not playing their cards close to their chest. Cthulhu very likely headed for the solo lane. Sylvanas, Jingwei generally going to be your duo lane, and the Kings seems like they've got a draft that is going to be a little bit more so slated towards that late game.
Jingwei for Netrioid has been, synonymous with one another. It feels like Netrioid has loved this pick over his career, has been kind of in and out of the meta depending on the direction that some of the builds go. You know, in the bow build time, more stim as far as auto attack speed gods came to the forefront. But Jingwei always feels like has her place just because of the ability, the defensive utility that a pick like that has. And so we will catch back up with the second wave of bans here, Mifflin. The Camelot Kings still needing a mid laner, so do the Valhalla Valkyries. But Heimdall and Aphrodite will cover both of the bases that the Valkyries still need here. That does bring up Chang'e, I think. You know, that's something that Zeros has played pretty consistently over the last few matchups and still available here for the Valkyries if you think it could fit in with the rest of their draft.
I think Chang'e fits very well here with what the Valkyries have got. You've already got decent team-wide sustain inside of the team fight thanks to Artio. Achilles with some self-sustain, only going to be bolstered by what Chang'e is bringing. And one of the best assets that Chang'e has is the anti-heal within her kit. And up against the Sylvanas and the Cthulhu inside of these team fights is going to be very useful. That said, Chang'e does historically struggle against gods like Tsukiyomi, applying that slow, very nice with a chase down. Sure, you can use the second ability to avoid out the piercing moonlight, but as long as Tsukiyomi's allowed to land one of those procs, having closed that gap, I think is the hardest part for Tsukiyomi, so that does it for him.
And I think, Miff, this is a conversation we've had for a few weeks now, really since 8.9 came into the conversation. We'll let this Naja hover make its way one way or another. Captain Twig on Assassins. Look, we've had this conversation seemingly every single week since 8.9 came out, since Twig said it's been a difficult transition for himself. Do you think the transition is near complete for Twig? Do you have enough data on Twig on Assassins to feel comfortable no matter what he's playing?
Here's the thing, man.
Okay.
Twig hopped on Twitter, and he is a traitor to the junglers of the Smite League, of Smite in general. My man said, Maces are too strong. But we just got him back. So I'd say if you're allowed to complain about how strong your role is, I think that Twig is probably pretty comfortable with where he's at.
Fair enough. All right, Miff, you inhaled deeply when Naja was hovered. Naja has been locked in. Have not seen this pick a whole lot, if at all. Rounding out with a Thoth for the Valkyries as well. What do you think of Naja specifically, and then the composition as a whole?
Naja on his own, not very good. The entirety of the draft.
All right.
Probably not so great either, man. I mean, you don't have any great way to siege inside of this composition. Your defense is completely reliant on this Thoth. I'd argue that the Valkyries were listening to that interview from the Camelot Kings and said, hey, if their early game's bad, we got to win there. And that's why they drafted.
Yeah, but I've missed the important part of all of this, and that there's no traditional hunter locked in for the Valkyries.
Very lightly whispered double assassin duo lane. And it's what we get out of the Valhalla Valkyries. It's J-Vac and aggro with Doug on the spectator with a very interesting draft that the Valkyries have come out here in game number 1. It's the final week of play before we jump into the group stages. Hard matchup for them to really be able to get a big win here, especially up against the Camelot Kings. They've been looking real hot as of late. And I mean, just the top 3. I mean, even maybe ignoring the Jingwei here, the top 3 out of the Camelot Kings. It's just a disgusting early one. You have Cthulhu and Sylvanas, who have just been running rampant amongst the scene the last couple of weeks.
Best for your options, but you know the Valkyries don't need much setup. They've got a lot of CC, so you know if you don't want that consistency necessarily that the Sun Acorn provides, then maybe it can work.
Well, Rapper will go in and get a little bit of poke against Centro, but that'll immediately be immune just because of the healing from genetics. That early game damage out of the Naja, not quite as strong as it used to be with all the nerfs that it's had when it did have its time in the light as an actual viable support for so long. So we've been seeing so many small adjustments to the Naja. In mid lane, it's just been Zeros and Big Man Tings to kind of free farm. Johnny and Twig standing by to try and take these camps from each other. A nice little pull from genetics. It's Rapper. He'll get rooted in place. Nitroid puts a nice little win down, and that might just be enough. And genetics, he's got the basics under the tower. That'll take him out.
I thought Rapper might be able to live because the mobility from that Naja. And with that persistent gust missing, I thought that he was going to get out. But Sylvanas damage, really good as well. So you become awfully tanky really quickly. Very hard to deal with for Sylvanas for sure. You know, I just keep thinking about this composition and how it's laid out, and the Kings nearly by accident picked the perfect hunter to go up against it. Jingwei is so easy to survive on. I feel like the Valkyries maybe came in with the plan, like, yeah, we're going to try and kill him in duo.
Rapper gets pulled in. Twig will put some damage against him. Nitroid is here, and Rapper surrounded by 4. No way that he's making it out of there. It's Big Man Tings who gets the final shot to put him down. Kings up 2-0 on the board, but it's not just 2 in kills. Nearly 1,500 gold they've been able to amass for themselves so far in this early game. Lane mages out there, and the fact that Big Man Ting's got to 10th pick this god is just kind of criminal.
Yeah, very, very late in the draft, and again, very good up against what the Valkyries are planning on doing.
Raffer might be down here again. Captain Twig goes in with the ultimate, and that'll be more than enough damage. The ult from Genetics just to help him out. Johnny down to half health. Emil misses the stun in the back line. Captain Twig is fine, but Johnny is not. He'll have to walk away. Emil uses his blink to get a little bit of distance away from the assassin. Captain Twig, he's willing to give that one up. Emilitu will just run around thinking he's still being chased, but everyone's just given up.
Yeah, no one's going to be able to catch him. It's the right call from the Kings to let him go, at least for the time being, but I thought maybe Tings could have collapsed from this position. They probably don't have the perfect timer on Emilito's ultimate, and just assuming that full HP Rat, they're not going to be able to burst him. And ML does a good job of going north, making sure that the Kings are going to have to expend a lot in order to catch him, or let him go, and then he ends up with a good invade.
Captain Twig, no ultimate, gets stunned out and taken out. Zeros with some good damage from the hieroglyphic shots in the back line, plus some nice setup from Johnny, able to help him get that. But immediately with that speed buff invade, Genetics and Nitroid take purple, and they try and take the red, and they will be successful in stealing that one away. So 2 buffs stripped away for 1, but also losing Captain Twig in the process of it means the Kings lose a little bit out on there, but they're still up in gold, about 1,300 to their name.
You're not playing Rat Naja duo lane to outscale the Hunter. I don't think that really tracks.
Zeros, he'll eat some damage from the Lizard. Netroid will drop the Gust. That'll be enough to disrupt Emilitu, and Emilitu's not really looking too good on the farm game, but he's got some backup. Netroid used the airstrike, and that's enough damage to kill. I didn't think that was going to be enough to take down the health bar, but now he's got to deal with the other two. Johnny goes in with the ultimate, misses to have the stun. Off the mark, he'll drop the Gust, but won't walk into it. Instead, it'll be Raffer pick him up and take him to the skies. He should be dead on landing from Johnny, and the help of the minion should be enough, but Netroid is buying so much time.
Yeah, he's still going to fall, Johnny, with that shield through the wall. Will claim it. That was a really well-timed ultimate by Raph. As it looks like Twig does secure it, but Zero's looking for the solo kill. But I think it might be going the other way.
Captain Twig will at least get 1 before he goes down. So it will be a trade. Zero's now up with 2 kills against that. And even with all the best efforts of Captain Twig with the ultimate, it was enough to save his own life. Johnny will go for the invade against this red buff, but Big Man Tings is waiting for him. A good stun. Deals a huge chunk of Big Man Tings' health. He's forced to walk away and use the ultimate. The knockup is good to consume. And then the leap in from Emil misses, but the stun after will make sure to take him out.
Not enough information there for Big Man Tings, but Netroid is back, has the beads, trying to get revenge on Johnny.
Popped the steroid, but doesn't have the distance to cover just yet. Johnny doesn't have very many places to go. A nice little blink pass, and Emil will get the stun against Netroid. He may be getting caught out here. Johnny turns around with the shield bash, and that'll take him down.
And this is exactly what the Valkyries want to happen in this game. They want it to be an absolute fiesta. That is the best option for them, because their composition is well suited to have a fiesta. You know, they've got mobility, they've got early damage. Reinforcements to this left-hand side. I mean, Emilito, still no beads, of course, started off with that blink. Both he and Raph are going for a little bit of a tankier option. Have to imagine that's going to be something like a Blackthorn Hammer next.
Emil blinks in, finds the stun against Netroid. Knockup is good for Netroid to zone him away, but Emil will win the ranged boxing match. Not enough damage to take down the Rat. And up in the tree, still has attempts to go through. Airstrike will get Netroid out. Captain Twig goes in with the piercing moonlight and the ultimate from Genetics. Gives him enough extra damage to take him down. Johnny will get pulled back by Genetics. Netroid firing a couple of basics. Raffer gets the stun, but not much further follow-up here for the Valkyries.
Oh, good ring toss, and that'll be enough for Johnny to clean one up. But don't think he's going to be able to find Twig underneath that tower. But a good re-engage there from Raffer. Didn't see where his ultimate ended up going, but it is on cooldown, so didn't end up finding a home. But ring toss still, as you mentioned, been nerfed a lot, still a hell of an ability,
Throwback
man.
how it used to be, but more recently we have at least seen Solo try and make some early waves, whether it be trying to make early rotations towards objectives, but outside of that, just been those two just chilling.
I think that favors the Cthulhu pretty heavily. I mean, RDO definitely strong.
Captain Twig links in aggressively, gets the beads from Zeros and well over half his health, and Genetics lost half his. On the backside of the fight, piercing moonlight is enough to take down Zeros. A solo kill for Captain Twig. Genetics will find Emilitu, both of them down to half health. Heavenly Sprint popped up by Genetics and a blink from Emil to try and separate them from each other. Big Man Tings will still hunt him down, but the other two are more focused on heading towards this Gold Fury, maybe even towards helping Twig. Now Variety has rotated over. Rapper not able to get that kill on his own. Johnny could go for an execute of his own. Will dash in, but miss the damage of the dash. Variety up in the ultimate. Twig will be able to juke out the fatal strike. Johnny misses that ultimate and may pay with his life. The knockup from Variety is enough damage.
That is brutal for the Valkyries. And now Raffer's in a bad spot, but Ducky has rotated. And that little bit of sustain, probably enough to get a support out.
Root's good to hold him in place. Genetics has a little bit of healing, not enough though. Ducky able to pick him up thanks to the help of the Thorns, but now Raffer is caught out. The slow from the Minotaur is enough, and Variety and Big Man Kings take down Raffer to make a nice 2-for-1 trade there for the Kings.
Ducky's probably like, all right, you know, I rotated over, I killed Genetics. Raffer, I saved you. You didn't leave. Unfortunate, I suppose. Definitely a mistake from Raffer to stick around.
This lane, they'll bail out Metroid, make sure that he's safe, and make sure that he gets his buff yet again. Level 14 on the Ratatosker. Metroid and Twig backing. A little ward will catch them out to know that they're going back to base. I thought Emil might have gone for the reinitiation after seeing that Twig had left Metroid all on his own, but Genetics is here, just standing by. Gold Fury, started up by the Valks.
Genetics stunned again, and stunned again, but still has his ultimate and the heal.
Knockup is good. Variety is here to make sure he's got some way of being bailed out. So all that CC chain, not enough. And look at the physical defense that Genetics built up there. That Sovereignty helping him out. Gold Fury now down to half health. Rapper is here, wants to go for the steal. Emma on the backside, it's 1-0 by Rapper, picks up Genetics. He's not doing a whole lot of damage, but it's what's on the follow-up for him afterwards. Not a whole lot, it's Emil is the one taking all the damage. Genetics gets another pull against Rapper, pulls him right back into the midst of everybody. It's Netroid who grabs one. Variety picks up Emil, but Zeros at least able to turn around and pick up Captain Twig.
Nice ultimate from Zeros, and Ducky is here, full HP. He's the lone hope for the Valkyries in stopping this Gold Fury.
Netroid will dash in aggressively against Ducky. Push this RDO back. Gold Fury under half health. They're not taking it down very quickly, but now with Big Man Kings here, that might be the damage that they need to try and sustain and kill this RDO or kill this objective. It looks like they want to kill the RDO over the objective. They'll at least push him away, and Kings are able to grab the Gold Fury. On this really Tsukuyomi up against Johnny on the 3-1 and 3 Achilles. Been looking good here in the jungle. Might want to try and get something against Netroid. Maybe at least just get that tier 1 tower. Netroid down to half, has to use the airstrike. There's immediately the tree from Milici. Thought maybe he would go aggressive, but as soon as he hops up, sees that there are 4 Kings in the area. And thought he was going to fully back away, but he goes back in at least to get the wave.
Yeah, I like the idea there from Emilito. I mean, really good damage on a Netroid. Johnny just wasn't on the same page as him with whether or not they were both going to blink engage. Decide against it, which is
nearly 5
fine.
The Obsidian Shard, the next item up for him to finish.
Very excited to see how the Valkyries plan to take down Variety now that he's nearly full build, because I'm not sure that they can. We're gonna have to wait and see. I just don't see a world where they can actually kill this Cthulhu.
2 rotate over left to try and help out Netroid, but they leave the Fire Giant open. Variety spots it out. He'll go into Descent to the Madness immediately. 3 in the pit, but Variety is concerned about the carry instead. Zeros is zoned away. Fire Giant still being burnt down, but now Johnny has to leave the pit. Rapper and Ducky don't have the damage. Take it out on their own. It'll be Big Man Kings leaping in the pit to try and take out Rapper. Fire Giant leaves. Rapper gets the ultimate against 1, but Variety all by himself, able to pick up Zeros. No help from Ducky, or not enough help from Ducky to peel him away. It'll be Rapper going down. The Captain Twig, credit for the kill. Ducky wants to try and turn this and get Variety, but Variety so tanky on this Cthulhu. Johnny under the tier 1 tower. That might not even be enough safety for this Achilles.
Variety tanking, so he's got to give it up, but here comes Big Man Kings on the rotation. See ya later. No shot for the Valkyries to get away from that one. Ducky the only one able to limp away, and I like the idea from the Valkyries, a sneaky call on that Fire Giant, but your DPS on that objective is just so low with this composition that you don't put enough threat on it. Variety, just such a smart veteran move. Says, forget the FG, I only have to worry about this dude, and he's able to easily 1v1 Zeros.
Be a Fire Giant for the Camelot Kings off a 4 for 0 trail. Yep, 4 for 0 trade.
The Zeros will one-shot these waves with Hieroglyphic Assault. That is what he really needs to have happen, and I don't know if he has enough damage.
Twig will hunt down Zeros, or at least force him to the right side of the map, so the rest of his team can just waltz right down mid and take the tier 2. So that's one of the 3 remaining towers taken off the map, and with the sprint, they'll make their way right into the Phoenix, and they've already got it down well under half health. Mid lane Phoenix, without any contest from the Valkyries, goes down. Camelot Kings with a nice little bit of objective play.
You're late, and the Valkyries were late. in that instance. Just not able to get there in time. Kings recognize a small window. Genetics with a good sprint pop.
Well, it's going to be a blink gold. It's Twig versus Johnny. Johnny has the health advantage over Captain Twig, but they're keeping him busy. Emilitu up on the tree will crash down, but a blink from Twig will get him out of danger. Netroid now in the middle of the fire. He's got to use the airstrike to get right back out. Ducky will surge forward and get some damage up against Genetics, but Variety is here to zone the bear away and to zone the support. Rapper's ult down, Emil and Zeros both with ultimates down. Captain Twig will eat some big poke, but now it's the Descent into Madness of Variety chasing down the mid laner, and Zeros has nowhere to go, has to use the beads just to get away from the knockup, but the damage from the assassin, the damage from the soul laner are just too much. Zeros with nowhere to go falls to Twig.
That's a cute little interaction there between Cthulhu and Tsukiyomi, because you need to use the audio cue in order to know that you need to Aegis the Piercing Moonlight, but Cthulhu's just loud. Like, there's just a lot going on whenever he's descending into madness. And normally people who are descending into madness aren't very quiet, so thematically I think it makes sense, but it made it very hard for Zeros to know that ultimate was coming. Couldn't use his Aegis in time.
Ducky, he'll be the only one to defend against the left side. Phoenix Rapper just now showing up. And Netroid will pick up Emily too all by himself on the back side of the fight. Not sure what Emil was doing all the way back there, but it's going to be a Phoenix going down. Valhalla Valkyries now have only one member left alive to defend against the base, and I don't think that Ducky has the damage or the defense to do so. He can't even make it back to his own fountain in time, just barely squeaks in there, but the Titan exposed. That'll be an easy game one here for the Kings to take.
Yeah, that's look. I mean, this composition from the Valkyries, always willing to try and look at something new, but
That's the honest truth of it. The early game was highly contentious because I would argue that there wasn't necessarily an actual laning phase. There was a lot of fighting inside of enemies' red buffs or in these back camps, and that really was where this Valhalla Valkyries draft flourished. But the second it came down to an actual team fight around an objective, the Camelot Kings kind of controlled this one here. Feels like to me the Valhalla Valkyries were trying to maybe hide some strategies going into the group stages, but well, the Camelot Kings, if you're going to hide strategies against them, you're going to make it quick.
What kind of game do you need if you're the Valkyries to win something like this? I mean, do you really just have to steamroll the early game? Like, you know, it's back and forth in the early, and that gave the Kings at least an even game to work with by the time scaling time rolled around. I mean, if you're going to win with a composition like this, if you're the Valkyries, do you just have to far and away win the early game?
Yeah, this is the type of composition that I would say in a casual, you have to mechanics diff your opposition, right? Like every single member of the Valkyries need to be like finding solo kills in the lane, going for early objectives. It really was a either we snowball or we melt type composition.
You weren't thrilled with the Naja pick regardless of where it went. Did not look great for Raffer here at 0-7.
Oh, wow.
Hard to put a lot of stock in these KDAs after game number one. You know, as we've mentioned, a little back and forth in the early, but the Camelot Kings with an actual SPL caliber composition cleans up a little bit if the Camelot Kings stick in their ways. Lots of questions and more to be answered here in P's and B's for game two. Mifflin in charge of the caster team, I doubt is one that we get answered here. Unless you really, I don't know, maybe the fire happens, so you have to put out something like that. We'll see how your responsibility kicks in down the way. Look, the Valhalla Valkyries. These are the sets where, you know, there's often remakes to get on the right, good matchup. Make sure ping is feeling good for these guys. So maybe Miff, something like that comes down the pipeline. I'll let you handle it.
I sure will.
As a test of your metal. Uller continues to be banned out here by the Valhalla Valkyries. Camelot Kings will in turn ban away the Loki as well. So, at least through the first couple, not all that much has changed here. And admittedly, Miff, look, regardless of the way the draft went in game one, this was always going to be a difficult one for the Valhalla Valkyries to win anyway, especially with the way that the Camelot Kings had been playing. And so, you know, maybe we stick with some of the good bans here against the Kings. We don't want Sylvanas to make its way through. We don't want the Uller to make its way through. And I wonder if we're going to start seeing more of this, Miff. It feels like Sylvanas has kind of been that first support to get let through, has seen a lot of bans, but right there on that edge. I imagine against some of the top supports in the league, it's worthwhile doing what the Valkyries did here, and you just take them off the table.
You know, I've seen a lot of Sylvanas in ranked going for like that Spear of Desolation style of build. Like you go pull purely Guardian, and then you pull like a Spear of Desolation like 4th item because you're already pretty tanky at that point. And with the minor rework towards his first ability, your pull is like on a 2-second cooldown essentially. You're ulting like at least twice per team fight. I think Sylvanas might be my personal favorite of the 3 Guardians that have come to the forefront: Geb, Sylvanas, and Khepri. And it makes sense to me that the Valkyries don't want King's support, one of his best picks, sliding through here. So Cthulhu can be banned out as well. So we've seen some slight adaptations in the P's and B's so far. Maybe telling us a story that the Valkyries are trying to take this one a little bit more seriously, maybe a little bit more standard in the composition this time around, but I don't know why I put myself out there.
I mean, we'll see it here. The Valkyries bans in game 1 were Ul, Cerberus, and Geb, so nothing to raise the eyebrow at there. We will see here, Mifflin. At least in the first 3, remember, we were in a realm of normalcy with the Ardio, the Achilles, the Ratatosker. It was a little interesting, but still something where, like, all right, Ardio or Achilles could go solo or support from what we've seen the other players in the league pick. And then the Naja and then the Thoth kind of threw us for a loop there down the stretch. And so the Valhalla Valkyries back in that first pick slot. Ardio is still available to this Valkyries team. Odin not available. That's usually what I think of. This Valkyries team has loved getting Ducky on his comfortable picks in with that first pick spot. Cthulhu, I think, an important ban here, Miff, because that was the answer to the Ardio first pick. Cthulhu was then that answered pick.
Oh.
Captain Twig is thrilled. And I am nervous.
I'm concerned.
I am nervous for the Valkyries. That was an emphatic cheer from Twig that the Ardio ends up getting picked. Now, there's 2 schools of thought here, Miff.
Please.
One, Twig just called it and said, I think they're going to pick Ardio, and that's why he's so happy.
What a crazy guess.
Alternatively, he's thrilled because they have a composition in mind that is going to just run over the Ardio. Either way, I'm not necessarily excited based on that reaction for the Valkyries.
No, Terra seems to be the answer here and has some flex potential into both solo and support. We might get a little bit more clarity as the draft rounds out for the Kings as of now, but I'm worried about it too, man. I've not seen that level of excitement from Twig and the P's and B's just about ever, man, and I'm staring at the player camps.
Right, it's not often that you see somebody over the moon cheering when the
My
enemy
man's
team
hands
picks
went up.
something. Right, it's not often like an Ardio gets picked and you're excited to
Woo,
play against
Ardio!
it. Camelot Kings, whether it's a guess from Twig or a composition built to beat the Ardio, the Kings apparently happy with the way that the draft has gone so far. Raijin, a great pick here out of the mid lane, Miff. Big man Ting's got Tiamat way late in the draft, literally last pick in the draft in game 1. And BMT will get back-to-back great mid lane picks here. Raijin to round out the top 2 for the Camelot Kings. Ratatosker, though, sticks around, Miff. And if we're on track for a run back, it'll be an Achilles here for the Valkyries. But the Kronos being hovered is not something that would raise my eyebrows for the Valkyries, maybe the rest of the league, but we have seen Emilito really enjoy this Kronos pick in the past.
Yeah, it's great late game scaling, and that's something the Valkyries were lacking in their previous draft, and now they've got good early game pressure. If this Ardio is slated for the solo lane, she should be able to hold her own in just about every single matchup. Ratatosker inside of the jungle with that global presence could create the space to allow this Kronos to farm up into the late game. And look, man, I know that Kronos isn't something that we see super often at the SPL level, but I still think this god is incredibly strong. The only weakness being that it takes him a really long time to get to the point where he's incredibly strong. Given that time and space, he could completely run a lobby on his own.
No, that's Giannis.
No,
that's through space and time.
Yeah, we're thinking of
time and space is Giannis. No, or Genos.
Wow.
It's been so long since I've been back. Genos is
all your Paladins fans are gonna unfollow you now.
Oh my god, wait, my brain. Through space and time is Giannis. Through time and space is Genos.
Nailed it.
I nailed
First
it.
try.
First try, there was no issue getting there, to say the absolute least. Chiron will end up being the pick here for Netruyuid, so you're still looking for what I assume to be jungle and solo lane if you're the Camelot Kings. But maybe the Kings are sensing a Jean Quig here, Mifflin. Would have been an interesting pick with Ardio, Ratatosker, and Kronos already locked in. But the Kings feeling like the Valkyries still need a mid laner. I think it's a pretty safe guess. This Kronos more than likely heading on over to Emilito.
And generally, when the Valks have a draft like this and they still need a mid laner, it's Neath in the mid. They take Neath mid more often than just about any other team, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see it here. That global ultimate, again, going to pair up with what a Ratatasker is bringing to create the space for this Kronos. As of now, the Valkyries team composition is, okay, can our Kronos get to late game? If yes, win. If no, probably lose.
Fair enough. Nike then throws a bit of a wrench in the mix here for the Valkyries. The survivability later in the game from the Nike is hard to deal with. Maybe the Kumbhakarna Mifflin helps deal with that Nike a little bit.
Well, you could stop the channeled rend with your Mez, which is pretty nice, or even the epic uppercut to remove somebody from the play field.
Yeah.
You've got great ways to stop Chiron from using Giddy Up, Groggy Strike, and the Mez. Going to be able to stop that channeled abilities in its own right. Kumba's all right. I think it's aggro that really doesn't like that pick. I think that Kumba fits into certain compositions when you've got like some pretty sick wombo combos like Spirit Arrow, like Kronos' full kit on landing. You've got pretty good setup from that epic uppercut, but Kumba's pretty easy to stop in his own right.
Here's the good news. Aggro gets to cast this Kumba.
Oh, he can Aggro, do you like Kumba? He doesn't like Kumba. That was an angry nice.
Yeah, that was not a good nice. That was a bad nice. That was bad.
Because like Smite players, they'll be like nice when they do something good. Aggro hit us with a nice, and that was not good.
But Variety gets to play Raijin solo.
I've been hearing from some players that secret, it's not actually OP.
Every solo laner thinks it's good, and it's just not. It's just not. That's the thing. Nika says it all the time about how he should just be playing Raijin all the time. He shouldn't be. That's the thing. And Big Man Tings has always been a really big warrior mid guy. You know, the chalk mid, that was all Tings. I don't know how we got here. That's, I guess, what I'm going for.
Rapper slowed down, taking a lot of damage. Netroid and Genetics able to put quite a hefty chunk of poke into both of them. And one more ability from Netroid puts Rapper in the sleepy passive. Twig blinks in just in time to save Big Man Ting's life. Genetics able to get first blood up over against Rapper there in that dual lane. Ting's almost falling for a first blood of his own.
I wonder why Genetics took it instead of Netroid. I mean, obviously, you want that.
He was under the tower.
Yeah, he's under the tower. So, well, you know. I can't believe I'm going to nitpick on who gets first blood in a game with Nike mid. That's on me. Continue, Jay.
And for you at home, we get a replay to see exactly how he managed to get that kill of his own. Obviously, look how deep he is under the tower. Yeah, okay, so third auto comes through. Genetics waits for the last one, then walks in to get the scumbag hit right at the end.
Yeah,
He's able to walk
Emilito
out just fine. That was all it. Like, Emilito just needed it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he was too low to body block a lot of them. Tried to get in there and body block the last one or two from Netroid, but Genetics, I suppose, making sure that it goes their way is an acceptable way for that to go. No, I mean, it's an easier kill matchup at the very least. Like, you can actually kill Chiron with a Blink Engage, whereas you can't really do that up against Jingwei. So, in that sense, maybe it is better for him overall.
Rapper gets the Mez. Big Man Tings goes in with the Blink ultimate to find Johnny. Zeros uses the backflip to get away. Johnny, you can only depend on his rewind if he needs an option to get out. He'll take a lot of damage and use that rewind, so right back into the middle of all of them. Two of them surrounding Captain Twig's Genetics, but he gets a nice stun against two, forces the overhead kick out of Captain Twig, and a triple Mez followed by a double root from Zeros will make sure that the Kings have to back off.
But Ducky's here, gonna get the stun. Okay, I guess we're not gonna get the stun. Instead, we're just gonna bear swipe, you know, a little bite claw action as bears like to do. And then just let Big Man Tings jump away. These sorts of little skirmishes, you know, normally I think the Kings are pretty heavily favored, but, you know, a good rewind, some good peel coming from Raffer, a three-man Mez. I think getting away without a death in that situation is very good for the Valkyries.
Raffer, he'll just barely squeak past that wall, but he's got three of them staring him down. He'll be able to get just enough distance to get away from the three of the Kings. The dual lane will go back to farming. Em will push very far up. Hits level 7. And still has that ultimate just in case he does end up needing it. Netroid will be able to full clear out this wave and stare down his opposition. But Raffer back in the middle of the jungle will get the Mez just against Captain Twig.
Ooh.
Wall just off the mark there by Genetics. A little slow to get the stun against it. Emilitu now round 3. Giddy up from Netroid. The root from Twig. Not enough damage. Emil does make it up.
I think he's
onto
dead.
The Cosmos. Is he?
Yeah, masterful shots on
Oh,
him.
he does have it. No, he doesn't.
No.
Not enough damage. And the Bluestone after not enough ticks. Emil just barely lives through that.
Very surprised that little damage that did from Netroid, even with that Jotuns. It's Raffer toast.
And right to the sleepy passive. This time, who's going to get it? Maybe it's Genetics again. No, Captain Twig. He'll be able to sneak that one out there to get himself on the board. 2 up for the Camelot Kings. 2,000 gold ahead. A couple of levels here and there, though. Notably, Johnny does still have a slight XP lead over Captain Twig, but Big Man Tings is about 2 levels up over Zeros. 1,800 experience if we want to round that one up here for the Kings up ahead of the Valks.
Johnny's doing good, or Ducky rather, is doing good work on this right-hand side, poking out Variety pretty effectively as Johnny is deep on the other side.
Double stun. Genetics is in danger. Johnny has to use the rewind. That'll get him plenty of distance, but he wasn't expecting Netroid to be there. Stun is good. Giddy up to chase him down. He'll kick him right back to Big Man Tings, and the ultimate is just enough damage to take him out. Big man Tings, credit to the kill.
Yeah, I like the idea there from Johnny. I mean, obviously you have a pretty long leash when it comes to Kronos and in these invades because you can always just rewind out, but Netrioid a little bit too quick on that dash. Chiron really good at chasing down someone like a Kronos.
I think the best one is a wheelish where she picks up Suku like Shaggy and Scooby-Doo and just runs with it. I think that might be one of my favorite animations in the game.
Yeah, that one's really good for sure. Definitely an underappreciated part from the ARC team.
Emil against Netroid, level 9, gets a stun, dashes in. Netroid might be in danger, has the Centaurus, and too much time to get up to the tree. Emil goes down. Netroid with a nice solo kill in the duo lane. He'll be able to push up. That tier 1 tower is basically living on its last edge. It will go down just to even the minion wave alone.
Link in from Twig, but misses that Prana Onslaught. Will just settle for an attempted red buff invade, which does go the King's way, but maybe they can get Rafa.
Rafa in the middle of 3 uses the ultimate, nulls out a big man Tings, a jump in from Captain Twig with his own ultimate. Johnny has to use the rewind to get back out, but he doesn't go very far. There's not a whole lot of follow-up left. Now Ducky back from the base and in the middle of the fight. He'll try and hold back Genetics, puts him down to about half health. Bear swipe is good. A dash in from the ultimate out of Emil puts Genetics at low health, but Zeros is also in danger. Genetics dashing through, and Johnny, even with that rewind earlier, he'll be the first one to go down.
And Genetics is still somehow not just alive, but like not even that close to dead. Just way healthier than he has any right to be. That Lotus Crown rush again coming up big, and Raffer has been able to go back to base and come back and still have the fight going on a little bit. So it can end up feeling pretty okay.
On the other side, it's Twig going back and picking up his Erendite Crusher. An ultimate from Raffer hits Genetics, but Genetics is fine. The root from Zeros misses, and Big Man Tings will punish Johnny. He can't even get to the rewind in time. Jungler falls down. It's Genetics credit for the kill, and Big Man Tings nice and healthy here in mid. Level 11 on this Nike
Crusher.
mid.
We're just trying to one-shot people, and that's kind of what you need to do up against Kronos.
Zeros will use the backflip, and it's the double leap in from the Warrior and the Assassin. There is nothing that you can do in that situation as it needs. Variety trying to take away this Pyromancer, doesn't manage to steal it away, but Ducky is down to half health. Emil trying to at least separate the team fight as much as he can, but Raffer's getting pushed back in the Fire Giant pit and taking so much damage from it. The poor guy just wants a way out. Ducky does find a way out with the blink, but Raffer goes down the sleepy passive yet again. This time it's Big Man Tings and Variety who will fight over. Neither of them want to go for it.
Oh, that's easy for Variety.
Just takes it with the nice mind games.
Yeah, that's easy for him, man. I mean, you cannot be falling for the basic off the target there from Big Man Tings. I mean, come on, man. Is this his first time? That's too easy for Variety.
Ducky under the tier 1 tower. Variety, Genetics, and Twig want to put this bear down. Slow is good. The Mez will stop the dash. Ducky now has no mobility. It's all how much damage and sustain he's got. And the answer to that is not a whole lot. Captain Twig eats the ultimate from the mid laner. Zeros with some good damage against the assassin. But here's, speaking of, here's one assassin of their own. Dunks down right out from the lead two. From the middle of everybody. Emil has enough damage to get one. Can he get a second one? Use the dash to get away from everybody. But look right behind. Raffer is on the way, but the minions are slowing him down. He can't get the blink because of it. Variety is trying to chase him, but Emil is just going to go right back in, gets a stun, gets some damage. Raffer with the epic uppercut. Emil might just make it out of here. No, the Taiko drums are good. Variety does clean that one up.
And here comes Big Man Tings for the guaranteed cleanup onto Raffer. Good attempt there from Emilito to end up surviving. Did end up getting 2 at the very least with help from Raff, so not all bad. Is Raffer out?
He might be out. Look, it's Kumbhakarn, man. I'm curious, how many points in that Mez does Raffer have? Because that felt like it was a pretty decent length of time that they had to get Mez there, even with any kind of extra, crowd control reduction. Blinking from Johnny. Netroid is surrounded by 2. Who's going to get the kill for this? He'll go up in with the ultimate, but he's going to get the revive because of it.
No,
now it's just Netroid
don't let
versus
it happen.
Johnny. The 1v1, the stun is good. Netroid goes down. Time rip for Johnny.
Okay, thank goodness. Thank goodness. He almost 1v2'd him right there, because if he gets that giddy up off, he's out at the very least. Skirmish in trade 1-for-1. Chiron does a lot of damage with this build, even in the early game.
I think because how long it's been since we've actually gotten to see Chiron, people kind of forgot just how much damage he does. And when you throw how good all the Mace Tree is, Transcendence that got buffed, he kind of swings. Well, so does Big Man Tings on this Nike. So much damage right back to Emil. He'll have to dash away just to get back to safety. Genetics and Captain Twig on the left side of the map. Zero's charging an ultimate, but he'll fire it off to the right against Variety. The cripple makes sure that Variety can't dash away. Ducky Gonna get taunted or feared back, I should say. Variety makes it back onto the tier 1 tower of his own. It's big man with no mana, catches Twig and Genetics in the mid lane, and Mr.
Nice
Crush to hold
AS.
Zeros in place. Zeros mitigates some of that damage, but not enough of it. A good root burn Genetics will set up for the kill for Captain Twig.
Zero's really getting the Neath treatment right now. Raffer will end up falling eventually, but on the right, maybe Variety too?
Variety goes down. Emil with his rotation, but it's going to be a quick trade out. No, he actually didn't get any damage to the Chaos Tower. Able to get the credit there as a tier 2 tower gets itself on the board this game.
Yeah, it's good in some ways. That's what I would say. It's good in the sense that it's fun, and that's what video games are meant to be, fun.
Genetics not having a whole lot of fun up against an RTO stun just off the mark by Johnny. Genetics, he will go down. So Ducky does get credit for the kill. Finally gets himself on the board. Ethereal Staff, actually the 3rd item here out of Ducky's for a little bit of extra power to this RTO.
I mean, E-Staff is unequivocally better,
Right,
but
but that extra slow when you have Raiju out there
yeah,
too.
Gem is more annoying.
It's definitely more annoying. Emil's, well, he's not making it out. There's 3 kings there, and he's deep in their territory. Probably not a place that you want to be. As a lone Ratatasker level 14 on the left side, Netroid level 16, 2 levels up. Finish stacking that Transcendence. Variety just getting to feel what it's like to be a mage in the solo lane no matter what. Oni Fury started up. Ultimate from Zeros is good to get some damage, but not enough to get the Fury. Raffer blinks in pretty late. The Mez will at least slow them down, but Raffer probably not going to make it out of here.
No, maybe his passive's up,
That's just bullying.
and we get to see who gets the kill. This is a 3-man bout. Okay, so now's where it gets interesting.
Okay, so who's gonna? It's all about who gets that second one.
Smart
Oh,
from
wow,
Genetics. Smart by
That's
Genetics.
why he's the support man. That's
Yep.
why he's the big brain on the team.
That's the most exciting play of this game so far.
Johnny, can he make it out? Big Man Things missed that 3rd swipe of the Ren. Root from Zeros is good. Johnny just needs to run. He just like stood there and allowed himself to die. Zeros backflips, and that's pretty much gonna seal his fate. Genetics roots him out. Ultimate is good. Oh my god, that did so much damage.
Thank you, Terra Alt. Yep, Terra Alt good. Killing people
Also
and
full
saving
damage,
people.
Also full damage Ren.
Yep, but it's really that that percent the percent damage increase as well.
Oh, here we go.
All right, so let's look at this. Okay, Genetics really smart because he body blocks or blocks off the fastest attack speed auto. Lets Big Man's big auto come through, so there's going to be the most recovery time, so it's going to be harder for him to just auto cancel in another one. That was genius.
Well, see, now there's no sleepy passive, so they can't really fight over except for who gets the last bit of damage, and that is Genetics. That Terra able to get quite a bit of it. Captain Twig does go down on the right side, so a little bit of evenness, at least a 1-for-1 on opposite sides of the map, but then they're also losing the tier 2 tower and now a Phoenix on that left side. Valkyries lose out on quite a bit for that trade just to make sure they can kill Twig.
And about 4.5 levels up on Zeros.
Seems like Emil and Johnny have role swapped now because Emil has the speed buff and he's the one in enemy territory, and Johnny instead is taking a purple buff and sticking to that left side. So now with Emil with a little bit of extra fire, says, you know what, Johnny, just take a couple of waves for yourself. I'll try and do some of the lifting here in the jungle, but he's gonna need to do a lot of lifting to help the rest of this team out. Zeros gets hit by 2 hits to the Centaurs, the 3rd aegis out, so he'll live with a masterful shot. The guaranteed hit afterward is enough to take him down. Netroid gets that. It's 19-6 on the kills. The Kings have a near 10,000 gold lead up over the Valkyries here, just shy of 20 minutes.
Yeah, poor Zeros, man. I mean, he goes Neath, a pick that he plays and usually does pretty well on, and then he gets Chronos jungle, Rat ADC, and so the Kings can so easily just disrespect him on these dives and just kill him over and over again.
Ducky alive for not much longer. Genetics is here, and that usually spells doom for whoever is around him. Netroid gets the last hit. Emil will dash away, but it'll be a giddy up from Netroid. They dash in from Variety.
Look at that
Get some
damage
against the Ratatosker. That was, honestly, that was more damage than I thought he was going to do. Emil, he'll crash in the middle of 4, but
and he's back.
That's probably going to be the end of his life. Variety puts some good damage on him, but then again, it's also not a mid lane full damage Raijin, so maybe Emil does get out of this.
Oh no, Variety's got him. Meanwhile, Big Man gets soloed by Johnny, so the Valks have that going for
gotta
him,
hit those.
which is nice.
You gotta hit those basics. Variety. Emil dashes away. Fire Giant goes to the Kings. Raffer will mez 3, and well, they get a. They're just okay. Now they're that was the ultimate mind game. He threw First hit of Percussive Storm, and I think he canceled it before the
Yep.
actual attack even went through.
Yeah,
Then he
that
Thunder
was,
crashes over the wall.
that was nice and cheeky. But hey, I mean, the Valkyries, Johnny's getting farm, all right? So
Maybe you can do the quick math, because I'm not going to try and do it. Maybe I shouldn't try and bait you into doing the quick math. How much extra power has Kronos gotten from his passive at this point? Would that be
some.
some?
Yep. There you go. Did the math for you.
More than 0?
Correct.
Less than 1,000?
Probably less than
It's a pretty good window.
Yeah.
Emil doesn't have much of a window of, well, he's got a pretty good window of escape. He does have ultimate. He can always get out if he wants to, but instead it'll be him in variety boxing while the rest of the Kings go for this mid lane Phoenix. Emil does use the ult, so he'll make it out. Ultimate Genetics and a dunk in for half of Zeros' health. Captain Twig might fall here in the process because of it. He does go down. Johnny credit for 1, but Genetics gets Zeros and some good damage out of Genetics under the mid lane Phoenix. But he'll be down to about a quarter of his own health. Emil is back, and Emil, he's gone. As soon as he joined the fight, he immediately gets put back in the fountain. Netroid with the double kill. Genetics goes down. Raffer credit to the kill. Big man Tings will zone Ducky away, but it's Raffer against Variety and now Netroid. But who's going to get it? Who's got the better damage? Well,
All right, here we go.
Sleepy passive. Now it's the
Spacing
ultimate.
out the mez. Yep.
I would not be surprised if they let him get
Throw
back
it
up
off.
just
Yep.
for the kill after.
Yep.
Man, Variety is really just baiting
Come
everybody
on,
with this.
guys. Have we never played? I mean, I guess you don't play
Look
against
at him
Kumba
pop
that
off.
often.
I saw the pop off in the player cam. He's
I mean, I get it. You don't play against Kumba like ever, but that you got to be ready for it, especially after he did it earlier.
I'm sure they've played against some Kumba, especially if they're playing the rank scene up against like Mogout here. But Camelot Kings want to close out game number 2, close out the set under the Titan room. Titan down to a quarter health, and it's an ultimate just to make sure they get one more kill, just for their troubles here. Variety almost goes down to the Titan.
If they
Zeros
don't
makes
end,
it
I'm
back
fighting.
in. Netroid has the Centaurus, got some good damage. They need to get
Thank
the kill
God.
here, and they will end it out for your sanity and for mine. 27-9 reads the final kill count in the Camelot
Locked in
Kings.
place. There's no fighting chance for top 2. You're looking towards group. If we want to put some real analysis behind it, you're likely not trying to show a whole lot of what your strategy will be moving forward into the group stages. The game is going to look different in the group stages as well. We've got some big updates that are going to roll through before the group start. And so, I think you got to take this set for what it is, and it's one that the Valhalla Valkyries, they come out, they 2-0 both games in 20 minutes, and their fate doesn't change all that much. So why not end your phase going into the group stages on a bit of a different note here? Good news is for a couple of the Camelot Kings players, as well as the Valkyries players, is we got to have some role swaps here in this one. Not necessarily in different lanes, Myth, but Variety maybe showed us why Raijin solo is the new age S tier god in the solo lane.
Is that your takeaway?
Oh yeah, look at this. He last hit that.
Hey, he did it a couple times throughout this one. I mean, yeah, mage solos can work, but you're generally training out a frontliner, and in most compositions, that's not something you want to do.
I baited
how
you into real
how
analysis.
How are you doing me that?
This
Why are
is
you doing
great.
me like that, bro?
This is great. I baited you into analyzing that for
your
serious.
bit.
Look, he's 5-1-4.
That's pretty good.
Not too shabby. Is that the build you would have gone for on? I guess it went away kind of quickly, but
No, that build was super soy in that there was defense in it, and I'm all protein damage.
got it. So if you're
Is
playing
soy protein?
soy is a form of protein, yes.
Darn.
You've played yourself, Mifflin.
Again.
You've done it to yourself. I know, unfortunate. BMT got to play Nike 5th on the schedule, and then a couple important ones down the stretch as well. So we started off on a lighthearted note.
Yep.
But it is time to buckle down. We've got a big one coming up next.
Yeah, man. The Olympus Bowl is up against the Titans. Not only is it in studio, but it's slated as the match of the week. This one has a lot of very serious seeding implications, specifically for both the Bolts and the Titans, trying to boost
the
themselves
Kings.
a little bit here. And the Kings, well, they might be out of their hands, but they've done what they need to, right?
They have done what they needed to do, as shown by the standings here after the Camelot Kings final matchup. Valhalla Valkyries unfortunately unable to grab themselves a win, though outside of this game, if you're looking at their past 2 matchups, the Valkyries were able to push the Oni Warriors and the Scarabs to 3 games. So improvement, and then just throwing a bit of a wrench in the mix with their 7th and final game.